Thank you for auditing the Always Positive new music review show hosted by a French professor who is losing his voice, who is in a messy hotel room, who's having a great time in Anaheim, California with my kids. We are at Star Wars Celebration, and that's why I haven't done like a normal schedule this week. But what I did promise was I would do at least a couple track reviews. So, I don't have the time to sit down with an album and give my thoughts and really consider it deeply. But what I do have time for is to take a couple of these songs that have come out by these bands that are important or that I like and just sort of see where they are, see where they're going. And by far the one I've got the most requests for is Black Midi's Welcome to Hell. So what I did was yesterday, I let the kids kind of hang out a bit, I let them sleep a little. I got in line, I got in line 2 hours ahead of time. I had to get ready to get this autograph. That's Carl Weathers looking at Baby Yoda saying, "You've got a stew going. If you know, you know." And I just sat there and I just listened to this Welcome to Hell song over and over again. Now it's funny because the place that I was is what's called Hall E in the Anaheim Convention Center, not to be confused with Wall-E. And Hall E is this insane place. It's about the size of 2 football fields, and it's just it's like a holding pen for humanity. And it's cool, lines are nice. I don't mind lines because you hang around with people, you meet people from Houston and Nebraska, etc. It's cool, it's a nice environment. It's actually reassuring for the state of humanity when you're in one of those big lines. But they had a DJ, and the DJ was doing that thing. There's a new thing in mass DJs, which is playing these medleys of tempo-shifted pop songs just smashed into each other. They'll play, I don't know, Who Let the Dogs Out, and then smash it into Take On Me, and then smash it into, Woohoo, and it's a whole mess, and it's really ugly. But it's perfect because the situation that I was in was I was in this gigantic empty room, and I was surrounded by literally thousands and thousands of people, and I was trying to listen to this very good and delicate music, while at the same time, this banal DJ is, "Who's ready?" So that was the environment that I was listening to this in. And of course, I listened to it 4 more times alone in my hotel room to make sure I really picked it up. But I like it because it was this idea of Welcome to Hell. It was a very chaotic environment for a very chaotic song. Now, what's funny is I'm also going to be doing a review of My Chemical Romance and their new song, Foundations of Decay. And the opening line of my review of both the songs are quite similar. A very kind of goth title, very epic song with cinematic scope that tells a story and is very monumental with lots of movement. So stay tuned if you want to see my Chemical Romance video later. I might have a rare appearance of Jar Jar Goat for that one. But that's where the similarities stop. And what I really love about this, and what makes me excited is, so because I cover Black Country New Road so much, there's a weird thing where I'm at a Star Wars convention, right? And at a Star Wars convention, there's a lot of bizarre, useless competition. Star Trek fans suck. If you like the prequels, you suck. And all these weird little tribalistic things happen that are totally ridiculous and arbitrary. So there's a Black MIDI versus everyone else tribe, it seems, in this post-punk era. Of this post-punk British era, the Black MIDI fans tend to be, I see, a lot more vocal, a little bit more on the kind of toxic side. And often, when I do something with Black Country New Road, do Black MIDI, do Black MIDI. But when I was, I'm going to sound like super fancy guy, but when I was talking to Black Country New Road, they mentioned, we're friends with those guys. We don't see this at all. And so I also like that kind of extended metaphor there. One second. You just get dressed, you won't be on camera. I'll kind of tilt this over this way. Okay? Is that cool?
Yeah, I just need to get my...
Yes. Oh, wait, 1 second. Really make sure you're on camera. Okay. See?
Can I eat the last Pop Tart?
Yeah. But he's getting more Pop Tarts.
Okay.
Can you eat them kind of in the bathroom so they don't crinkle on the camera?
Okay.
Okay. Leave in the comments if you thought that was good parenting or bad parenting.
It's not.
All right, so this kind of welcome to hell. Your dad makes you eat Pop Tarts in the bathroom. So what I like about this song, and what I like about this, the thing with Black Country New Road is that, both bands had an enormous amount of success. Both bands are very hot and hyped. And what I like about this is this really does show, in the same way the singles for Ants From Up There showed, growth. I think it shows real growth. I think the cinematic touch is really nice. I think the scope is nice. I like the story. It feels somehow like they're doing the things that people like, which is, that very sort of technical post-punk stuff. But I feel, and this could just be me, this could be some kind of weird bias on my part, I feel more heart in it, which is what I wanted to see more in Cavalcade, their last album. I liked their last album a lot. I bought it. I listened to it, okay? So it's not that I don't like it, but the question I had was like, is it just a little too technical? So speaking of hell and speaking of insanity, speaking of eating Pop-Tarts in the bathroom, I broke the song down, for simplicity's sake, into music and words. And I was planning on just doing this part on music, but I tried to track all of the major changes in the song that happen. And if you want to know why this is such a great song, it's a very cohesive song that is at no point fussy. It's just never fussy. It's not a fussy song. It doesn't feel like super talented guys who like, not at all. But yet, this is what happens. And the reason why is because the voice is so far up front. The voice and the words are so far up front that basically, if we could have that little metaphor that was used in the Winning Time show that I watched recently of how a swan swims, right? A swan swims very gracefully, but underneath, its feet are going like that, right? So like the voice, Gordy's voice, I think his name is Gordy, is very kind of smooth and it rides over everything. And then underneath is all this paddling and paddling and paddling. And so I'm not going to go through all these things. I mean, you can look. I mean, it's on cinematic mode, so you can look. I basically traced 18 different individual sort of movements in the song. Starting off with this great sort of inverted funk hits, and then a pause, and then a drum fill. And by the way, that was 2 seconds in. And then like a drum groove, and then the guitars join, and the synths all of a sudden get dirty. Then only 26 seconds in, when the 4-note guitar that kind of modulates up, and that's what kind of drives the song, is this little 4-note dang, song keeps going, and then some legato chords later, and then a really funky break at 129, and then that same break is extended at 155. There's even some like epic horns at 155. Like, I listened to the song probably 7 times before I even noticed there were any horns at all. And then at 214, probably my favorite part, my son's favorite part. He's going out to CVS to get us more Pop-Tarts. He's a hero. Write in the comments. Smash the like bucket. Subscribe. Leave a comment. Join my subreddit. This drum solo is like, it's like a full funk drum solo, drum break. It's just like, I just love it. I love hearing it. It's so good because you realize that the drummer is the main one who's doing all that paddling underneath. And then just kind of keeps going. There's even like a little punk version of the original song at the end. And what I find the most interesting is you'll see these little blue marks on here. Basically, the most interesting points, the most interesting changes in the song are accompanied with what I believe to be the most important lyrics, the sort of changing lyric point. So at right around 129, before this funky break, to die for your country doesn't win a war, to kill for your country is what does win a war. And then at the end, with this like really fast like punk version, the line, "We don't need men like you." So let's get over to the lyrics. Here's my notes for the lyrics. First of all, I will say that the way that the vocals and the music interact is very 90s. Like, I heard this and it reminded me a lot of Butthole Surfers, it reminded me a lot of Primus. And if you've never listened to Butthole Surfers or Primus, you're welcome. There are two like 90s bands that didn't make the Nirvana cut, the Pixies cut. Well, Pixies are basically an 80s band, but still, both. Like they didn't quite make the cut of like what we think of when we think of 90s music, but they both did this kind of thing a lot, of like very charismatic, odd lead vocalists with insane instruments underneath, especially Primus. So what is this song lyrically? What do I think about the song lyrically? Well, I think it's very much in keeping with Kendrick Lamar's last album. Now, I only say that I don't think there's an intentional influence, but we are in a world right now where we are reaping the benefits. We're reaping the benefits of social progress. I just gave myself goosebumps again. God damn it. This is great. I don't mean to do that, but I did. We have been working as a society on processing what toxic masculinity means. And I get it. You hear the term all the time in Gillette razors and but it's important. We're actually having this conversation. What is toxic masculinity? How are men hurt? How are men vulnerable? How does patriarchy hurt men? That's the question. Because men are victims of patriarchy, and we're seeing that in songs like Father Time by Kendrick Lamar, and we're seeing that in this song, which of course came out before Kendrick Lamar. I'm not saying there's a influence. I'm saying there's a zeitgeist, and that zeitgeist that we have is this moment. Hey, are you signed up on the waiting? Awesome.
Hey, Dad, I think I might have bed bugs because I have like bites all over my leg.
Okay, that's too much excitement for the video. So we'll get to the bed bugs in a second. They're not bed bugs. This is probably a spider. I swear to God, if you don't like and subscribe this video, what other Black MIDI reviews are going to have bed bugs and bathroom Pop Tarts?
I'm gonna do my own review.
Good. And what flavor? Oh, s'mores. S'mores Pop Tarts. Okay. So I really think after that little interruption, please don't interrupt me anymore, okay? So I'm really going somewhere with this because this is really exciting. So as a society, we've been identifying toxic masculinity and talking about the way that patriarchy hurts men. And it is important because patriarchy, in theory, serves men, but in reality, it hurts us. And it's a way that men end up getting this power, which we don't fully benefit from, but we do fully abuse. And so that's a weird thing, having a power that you benefit from, that you abuse, but that doesn't really benefit you. So this whole song is this beautiful long song. It's a war narrative about a guy, about a private Tristan Bongo, and it's his story about going off into war. It reminds me a lot of Voyage au bout de la nuit by Céline, Voyage to the End of the Night, a very interesting anti-war story written by a very problematic author, which you should really read if you've never read. But the whole thing is sung from the perspective of, I think, a sergeant or maybe a corporal, I don't know, to this private person. And the whole thing is the denial of trauma. This entire song is about somebody denying somebody else's trauma. You know, when you're a parent, and my daughter's over there, one of the worst things you can say is, you know, I'll give you a reason to cry. Or if you think that's bad, you don't know what I've done. Or you can't really be feeling that way because other people feel worse. It's a thing that happens to people in authority where it's not always intentional. They invalidate other people's difficulties. They invalidate their pain. And when you invalidate people's pain, it's one of the worst things you can do. It really is. So we are going to address the bed bugs. just so you know. I believe that your legs are itchy. I don't think that you have bed bugs, but we will get to that soon.
I mean, like, look.
No, I'm not going to look. Okay. So that's what's happening all the way throughout this video is the denial of trauma over and over and over again by a person in authority. And yes, it's about the army, and it's a sort of story which in a lot of ways reminds me of a different song, a song called Au Suivant by Jacques Brel, which means Next One Please, which is this amazing song about the military. It's about a private in a brothel. And he's talking about, it's about a military guy who's in a brothel, and the prostitute says, next, right? Next one, next. And it's about the horror of that. And really, it's not about being in a brothel. It's a song about being in a very sort of inhuman system. I'm sorry, can you do that later, please? I'm like 2 minutes away. Okay? All right. Sorry, she's like trying to make tea in the little thing. So, there's only so much we can listen to. So it reminds me a lot of that scene because the whole song begins with this discussion, with this putting him down and telling him he's not good enough. And the important part is it takes part during shore leave. And so shore leave is the time where you're supposed to enjoy being in the military, where you get to go off and do whatever you want. I used to live in Marseille in France, and a lot of Americans have shore leave there. And that's why if you're ever in Marseille, don't go to something called an American bar. If you go to an American bar, it's just a brothel. It's just for prostitutes. There's like a whole system set up. And this guy is not having fun. And it's not just that he is not a good enough soldier because he doesn't go out and shoot people and kill people. It's that he's not a good enough soldier because he doesn't enjoy the spoils of war, of being a soldier on shore leave. You're supposed to enjoy this. He can't enjoy it. The guy is just as mad at him for not enjoying shore leave, going out and womanizing and getting drunk, as he is for not being a good soldier. And that's how I think it really ties in really nicely. I'm going to include a link to the Jacques Brel song. I don't know, up there, if I remember. Because you should really take a listen to it, read the lyrics. It has that same desperate feeling of just like, I am not enjoying this. It's also written very poetically, very beautifully. Make memories, haunting or favored. That's the way he describes shore leave, which I think is quite beautiful. Again, that line that we said over and over again about to kill for your country does not win to die for your country does not win a war. To kill for your country is what wins a war. Just beautiful. And again, this whole sense that not only should you not worry about, what you're doing, but also don't worry about killing people. We get the sense this Tristan Bongo was conscripted, that he is a pacifist. And he says, if you didn't kill them, they would have died of cholera anyways. So there we go. We have like war viscera, we have poetic viscera, and we have this whole system in which authority is given to these sergeants to push these people around who are just lost in a system that they have no part in. And that part, it is authority that they are given that they don't enjoy and that they have to abuse. So there you go. I'm now going to spend a little bit of time making my thumbnail. I don't know how to make my thumbnail, but I'll probably use something here. And look forward to my Chemical Romance video, which I'll record at some point with bedbugs over there. That's going to be your new nickname on the show is Bedbugs.
Please no.
You lost goat. Bedbugs McGee. All right. Well, until next time, where I will hopefully eat Pop Tarts. There's the camera.